All right, guys, thank you for joining me today. It's your pal Curtis here, and of course, we got some great interviews here lined up, like I always promise. And then today, I have the first managing consultant I've ever had on my channel, that is, and that's Mr. Angus McNab of York 9 FC. Not the president, the managed consultant, right, Angus?
Yeah, it's managing consultant at this minute in time. That's what the work visa says, so we go with that.
All right, Angus. Well, thank you, first of all, for joining me here today on my channel, A.F.C. Curtis. Really appreciate it. I think we have a lot of good things we're going to touch on today. I think a lot of fans have been talking about recently on social media.
Yeah, fantastic. Looking forward to having a chat.
So just going back to managing consultants, what is that? Can you just describe to me just the role of what you do at York 9 as a managing consultant?
Yeah, for sure. So I have both the on and off field departments reporting into me. And looking at how we take the club to where ultimately it should be and how we realise our potential. So that's Jimmy and the guys on the soccer side, and then everyone else within the front office looking at our sales, marketing, commercial planning, retail, everything on that side, as well as, and probably most importantly, our work in the community as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's an important role. So a managing consultant, that's a new one for us, at least in the CPL. But especially with York, obviously being a new club, you're the first, I guess, managing consultant, not really president. How did the job come up? Who reached out to who? Did you reach out to York 9 late last year? Did they reach out to you?
Yes, I've known various people at League HQ for a long time. So whether that was Oliver Gage on the technical recruitment and sort of analytics side within the league, or whether it was Mark Silver and Stadium Digital through the process last year when I was working with SportLogic, looking at the league's advanced analytics and insights that they agreed with SportLogic when I was with that company. So I've been very familiar with the league and people at League HQ. I met Mike Baldassaro down at SoccerX in Miami. We scheduled to meet down there. And that was off the back of a couple of trips up to Canada. I'd had to chat to various people at League HQ on a number of matters, really. So it just all sort of fell together very naturally. And when the Baldassaro family were ready and looking to make a change of direction, I was very interested in what I could do to help and really continue to drive things forward.
And you came in, correct me if I'm wrong, like late 2019, it's like November, was it? November, December 2019 when you were announced?
Yeah, it was pretty late. So literally 48 hours before the international player draft, sort of met and started working with Jimmy formally. I'd met him just when I was there in an advisory capacity at the finals in Calgary, sort of at the back end of last year, but formally in the new role, sort of with the Baldassaro family, was met and caught up with Jimmy, and then started to get moving on everything towards the very, very late stage of 2019, although that seems a lifetime ago with everything we've all had going on in the last sort of 3-4 months.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you on that one. So a big thing now that, of course, making the switch from the president to maybe bringing yourself in as a managing consultant with York 9, a lot of fans maybe are pointed to maybe there needed to be some change in the backroom staff, but really to ultimately help grow the club in different directions. Now there's a direction on the field, which I think York 9 this offseason has done tremendous business. I think, to me, they're contenders for sure for 2020 when we do have that season, of course. But there is still the big question. I think the big hurdle, let's say, that a lot of fans, a lot of media talk about when it related to York 9 specifically, has been the attendance. Do you think that this is as big a problem as maybe people intend or talk about it as it is? And do you have any suggestions or any things that you would like to see implemented that you think you're going to bring in 2020 or beyond to help increase attendance?
Yeah, so we looked at flat out, is it a problem? Yes, we ranked lowest in the league for average attendance. We had some great nights, we had some great days. The inaugural game taking so many fans down the road to Forge and down to Hamilton. That's fantastic. And we had some bad luck when we came to it as a club. The various things going on meant that we had a late start at York Lions Stadium, and then just very unfortunate with weather that greatly impacted fan experience. And we have to take learnings from that in what we can provide for people in shelter and in other aspects, should we have a weather delay again. But fundamentally, I sort of chatted to all the front office staff, and they were very, very honest, very direct, and they felt we'd got some things wrong in the strategy. We perhaps tried to sell too much to the community rather than welcoming them in and trying to build something with them. So that's very important to us with all the teams within York Region Soccer Association, but also the wider GTA. So that is something that we have to do better. And I think we've made some reasonable strides so far in a couple of meetings we've had with club technical directors and leaders at YRSA earlier in the year. And also some of the things that we've done. The now sort of semi-obsolete from where we started, but the 2020 schedule, we'd made a big move to Friday night soccer. We'd removed some scheduling clashes with other pro sports within the Toronto market. And we'd really done everything we could to make sure that we were destination viewing, and we were signposting something to fans. And for a lot of fans, that was signposting the end of the week, the start of the weekend, jump on mass transit up to the game from the city, come have a few beers and grab an Uber home on a Friday night, and then perhaps go up to cottage country on a Saturday, Sunday. Like, we were listening to fans and trying to find alternatives that fitted in with their lives that would allow us to grow and build a passionate fan base. Unfortunately, COVID has struck and has sort of wrecked some of those plans and where they stand. But when we get back to football and we get back on the pitch, nothing from that point changes from as far as we're concerned. We've got to do better. We must improve. And ultimately, we've got to deliver a value proposition. We're in the most crowded sports marketplace in Canada. People have options, and we have to provide them with one that is value for money and incredibly entertaining. That's quality of play and quality of experience.
Yeah, no, I agree. That is, in my opinion, with York, I believe that would be the most challenging job, would be to increase that attendance, because like you said, it was a crowded sports market. You got Toronto down the road, you got, I don't know how many professional sports teams in Toronto, right? And so it is a big thing that you have to try and attract fans. And I do feel like you've said too, like, I think you guys are on the right path. Everything since you've taken over has been nothing but positive, at least from my point of view, from the fans and everything on social media. A lot of people saying the social media that you guys have been posting has improved a lot compared to last year. Obviously, the team signings, a lot more people are talking about York 9. Again, from my point of view, from my bubble, I'm not in the Toronto area, but just from outside looking in, that's at least a positive versus from last year, which I think is a good thing. There's been a lot of positive things, and it's been a lot associated really to yourself, which is why I think I really wanted you to come on my show, to be honest with you, is because you've been a big difference maker in such a short amount of time for York 9, which is, I think, a great thing to have for not just York, but for the CPL in general. But with that, now there's one thing that we got to talk about here that a lot of people recently on social media have had mixed reactions about. I'm kind of on the fence a little bit about this, but there was an article coming out from Northern Tribune, I think it was last week or maybe 2 weeks ago now, posting out where you mentioned possibly rebranding the club, York 9. Could you maybe further the point a little bit more here about why you think the club should be rebranded ultimately?
So that fundamentally, there's not a decision made one way or the other right now. So the point, chatting with John Jackson, the guys there at Northern Tribune, it was, we've actually got to explore everything and see what our fan base want. So yes, we have had a pretty vocal group of people on social media, but equally, social media is interesting because typically you would see it and sentiment would be sort of very, very much one way. And sort of traditionally it's actually negative. It's a place where negative comment holds, in some ways, not necessarily more weight, but there's more volume than there is for the positive that sits there. And actually, this reaction is pretty balanced, pretty measured. It's very interesting that people sort of outside our market have such strong views, but ultimately they're not in it and they're not living it and living the challenges. So it's a combination of, if we do this, it's the feedback that we've got from the entire front office in them trying to do their jobs and trying to achieve over the not just 12 months of last year, but sort of now we're into more than a 24-month cycle of this club in sort of pre-launch, launch, building, and sort of the sponsorship and everything that went on the 2019 season, where we are now 6 months into 2020. So it's not, hey, we're just into year two and there's this is on the table, but and some of the criticisms of marketing spend and things like that, the club's spent, the Bulldozer family have spent an incredible amount of money on this club. And it's into millions and significant millions and millions of dollars. So we have to ensure that if we're going to ask ownership for money, it's money that's going to be spent in the correct way and allows us to cut through, as we say, in a very, very crowded market that identifies us as soccer, that identifies us as football, and identifies us as sort of that team within the Canadian Premier League that, like we're saying, is doing interesting things, is making big moves on and off the field. So we have to view and balance everything. I sort of said to people, I tend to try and remove emotion from decisions as much as possible and look at hard evidence. And hard evidence in this is a fan survey and actually ringing our season seat members and saying, what are your feelings on it? What do you think? What do you want? And we spoke to a very, very significant sample size of those people. And we're still now sifting through that data, looking at what could be possible, looking at what may fit into a long-term plan. And actually, really, we view things by a different standard now. And I've chatted about this far too many places. So people can see it on our website. We have now a vision, mission, core values. Everything we do is guided by those principles. And I would urge anyone that's interested, go and have a look. That's what we're about. That's what we do on and off field. That is what we're about as a club. If we're on the fence about a decision, it's, does it help us achieve those things? Does it sit with our core values? And that's what we have to do to ensure progress, not be scared. And in some ways, yeah, we're a startup league, we're a startup club. So if we have a startup mentality, we have to always strive for more. We have to make big strides, big advances, and be pretty fearless in the progress in making progress.
Do you feel like you didn't maybe in the decision of it all, do you feel like it wasn't enough time though with York 9 as a brand? Just because, I mean, really, if you think about it, you only really had last year. You can't really say 2018 because there was no soccer, but you only have the small sample size, for example, of 2019. Maybe attendance wasn't great, but yeah, you had, like you said at the start of the interview, tons of these different hurdles from Toronto FC attendance, all these other attendances. I felt, looking at the schedule this year, I believe that we're going to see an increase this year, to be honest with you, with York 9, especially with the competitiveness of the squad this year. Also, going back to having the history already of last year is something to play off of as well. Do you feel that maybe even considering rebranding, you think it's too soon, or you think it's maybe the right time to do it while it's still early?
There's no question winning teams put bums on seats. That's like the adage in sport, but that's something you can't necessarily control from a purely front office perspective. You can influence it, you can do everything else, but team chemistry, coaching, cohesion, that does take a little bit of time. And I think that side of it, the progress from spring to fall, the retention, guys that we've brought in, we had that piece of progress that we're pretty happy with, and Jimmy and I are working well. The other side of it, off the field, I'd just phrase it a different way. If it was someone else's money and their dollars, would they bank on sort of investing $1 million of their own dollars in a brand that they felt was okay and doesn't have universally positive appeal, doesn't completely identify itself as soccer, as football in a crowded marketplace? It's potentially not the best investment. And so we have to evaluate it and look at it properly. like we said before, it's not a done decision. There are certain elements within our brand that I think are very strong. I think when you look at nicknames, when you look at sort of various other things around the league, I think the 9 stripes is incredibly strong. I think that's incredibly powerful and something that should never be lost in a team identity. But we don't really call it out. And between our primary, secondary, tertiary marks, word marks, we haven't got a lot that isn't 9 green lines and a trillion. So we need to do a piece of brand development, whether it's a renaming, whether it's a pivot slightly, whether it's an evolution. There are things that need looked at, and we've got to explore them fully. And ultimately, it comes back to the other bit. It's spend on marketing dollars, but it's bums in seats. And even with all the progress, with all the things that we're seeing, I frankly wasn't happy with the point we were at, or would have been for the first kick of the ball. When all this struck and when the guys came back from Miami, we were pretty much between 3.5, 4 weeks out from opening kick and from opening day. I don't think we were in the position we should have been at that point. And I hold my hands up on that. I had a couple of months to influence it, and it wasn't in the state that I would have wanted it to be. We continue to make changes in the front office, and we continue to sort of real strive to do that so that we're in the best possible position for sustained success, both on and off the field for this club. That's what the Baldazara family deserve for their investment in the club. And ultimately, that's what all fans deserve, is we want a sustainable, vibrant, passionate fan base that is committed and behind our club. We don't want necessarily something that is very niche and sort of appeals to a small subset now. We want to be bigger. We want to be bolder. We want to, quite frankly, build a community and unite and bring more people into it. That's our mission. That's what we have to do.
Could you share with us some of the possible names that maybe you guys were considering or possibly considering as a rebrand? I've heard or read on a few on the social medias there. There is stuff like I think AS York, maybe FC York. What are there actual names that you guys are maybe talking to supporters with, or is this all made up?
For a very long question, I'll give you a really short answer. No, I can't. We're looking at it. We're exploring it. We're seeing what's there. We're seeing what fits. It's not about a name. It's about a brand proposition. It's about building something that's lasting. If it was just about a name, we could throw 50 at the wall. I have various supporters who do converse with me and do chat with me on it and do suggest things to me. And when they engage with me directly, I'll have that discussion with them on a one-to-one basis. But I'm not going to play any of this out in a public forum. It doesn't serve anyone well. People are emotional about the subject, and I understand why they are. We love their passion. We love our fans' passion. But I'm just not going to fuel sort of speculation or anything like that at this moment in time. Because, as we said, it's not a done deal. We are looking into something. We're exploring it. And we've got to see if there is a sustainable way forward out of all of this, what it would be, how it could work. And there are so many factors that come into it that we just are not for debate in the public domain, just the same as any other business would.
Well, thank you for joining myself here, Angus. I'll let you go. Thank you. I know you have a very busy schedule right now, obviously getting the team put together, or getting ready for the next stage, like you said, of coming back for 2020 season. I want to thank you for sharing your thoughts as well with everything with the rebrand there and kind of getting the story straight here. Hopefully this kind of helps a lot of fans out on social media and maybe not jump so much to conclusions that we are rebranding or not kind of thing. But
yeah, and if fans have questions, like those that have reached out to me, I'm pretty sure they'll tell you that I'm quite responsive on social, whether it's through Twitter, whether it's sort of others have reached out to me on other platforms as well. People have dropped me an email. People have been introduced to me through the front office at the club and their ticket reps. We're here to chat to people about it. I'll be very honest, I was surprised at the statements from supporters clubs because nobody had spoke to me about it. Nobody had spoken to me about the reports. So fully understand the passion of people, and we want passion. Football is built on it. But just here to have a discussion on it all, and really look forward to catching up with everyone again, and really looking forward to CPL football this summer.
Yes, and before we go, did you want to plug actually your tags on social media if people want to reach out to you?
On Instagram and Twitter, I'm at Gus McNab.
Perfect.
So more than happy for anyone to reach out to me, and also the club on social and as well. It's worth a little look at. There's more sort of products being released as well in the last 24 hours, be it our T-shirts for Pride, or also our Healthcare Heroes patch being able to be applied not just on a kit, but also on sort of Macron product as well, and a couple of other leisurewear tees that we've released recently as well. So we're trying to get, everyone's asked me for more merch, and particularly more merch around the healthcare program and also around Pride. So we're really, really happy to support that on both sort of the charity that we have for the Healthcare Heroes patch, but also the charities that we've chosen as well to support within Pride. I think unity is a core value of the club, coming together to support each other. And in this world right now, we've all got to do that across every single action, and we've got to live it and be it. And this is our small way of doing that.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have been, I think, like the front line of any club in the CPL in terms of healthcare workers support, as well as now Pride support, from what I've seen, at least on social media. So, I mean, that's been really great. But thanks again, Angus, for coming on. Really appreciate it. We have to get you on again once that season starts going, eh?
Yeah, no problem at all. Look forward to it anytime. And I think as well, I've seen far too many jerseys in the back of your videos and not a new 2020 York 9 one. So we'll make sure we sort that out. And if you want to run a competition at a later date or anything else like that, we'll make sure we throw in a jersey for your subscribers as well.
Perfect. I would love to do that. Anytime, man.
Awesome. Great. Really appreciate your support of the league and the support of us all, and all of the fans across the country support the Canadian Premier League.
Thank you. And I want to thank you too, and York, for supporting my channel. You guys have been one of the most supportive clubs really for my channel, and I really appreciate it. So thank you for all you've done in the past and moving forward. And thanks, Angus, for joining us today. And for everybody at home, make sure you guys support York 9 if you can, especially if you're in the Ontario area. Great club right there. The contenders in my book in 2020, are they champions? We're going to have to see once the season kicks off. But of course, if you like this video, guys, hit that like button, that thumbs up button. You got to hit that red subscribe button and the bell notification button so you get updated each and every week when I drop a brand new episode just like this one. You can catch my next future interview with Angus coming up when that happens. But other than that, guys, check you guys later.